Solo queue players rejoice. We arguably just got the most impactful agent for solo queue that we've ever gotten. And that's saying something. The game has been out for almost 4 years now, and up until this point, we've had some pretty good options when it comes to playing solo queue and who you choose as your agent. But I think this is the first time that Riot has ever released an agent that arguably is the most catered towards solo queue. Let's back up a bit. Normally, I try to guess what the new agent will be. This time around with Clove, once we heard it was a controller, I don't know if it's just because I was uninterested, but I was like, oh, it's a controller, they're probably going to do controller things. I'm not really going to theorize about the new agent. And then as Clove's release got closer and closer, I started building up some hype and anticipation, only for it to get delayed. And so I figured whenever Clove comes out, we'll get the showcase for its abilities, and then we'll go from there. And now here we are, the day the Valorant releases the showcase for Clove's abilities, and I already think that they will be one of my favorite agents for a couple of reasons. To summarize Clove in one sentence, Clove is a self-sufficient controller. The key emphasis on self-sufficient, because up until this point, when it comes to self-sufficiency, this means being able to go out there and fight on your own without having to depend on other people. That mostly falls on the duelist. I mean, every duelist that has been released has abilities that allow them to excel on one-on-one engagements and pretty much be able to take over rounds by themselves. Of course, if you have a good initiator, a good sentinel to watch your back, a good controller to cover certain lines of sights, you excel even more. But your abilities, such as flashes, ability to recover, all of those contribute to you being self-sufficient on the map. So the fact that they gave abilities that lead to an agent being self-sufficient, and it wasn't a duelist, but instead was a controller, I think is the perfect response from Riot to the solo queue debate. Because again, this is primarily the main reason for why I'm excited for Clove. Their abilities and the impact that they can have on the map and the different options that they have lead to Clove being a way for you to play solo queue, still have some of those duelist abilities, but also be able to provide yourself with support as a controller. Because here's the issue with solo queue. I wanted to make a solo queue video for a while now, but I think it's still pending. There's a couple of things I'd love to touch base on, but if there's one thing that I want to touch base on specifically for this video, is the fact that when you are solo queuing, you really only have one of two options, in my opinion, of course. If you have a different opinion, feel free to comment down below. Let's talk, let's have a conversation. You either go as a duelist to frag out, to be the most impactful that you can without having to depend on your random teammates that you don't know how they play, or whether they're going to be good or bad, or whether the other team is going to be better. By going the duelist option, you set yourself up to have the most impact, but also if you truly believe that you are the better player on your team, then the duelist allows you to showcase that capability. But also, the other option is really a controller, and I would argue controller because a lot of people, especially in the lower ranks, don't know how to play controller. And this is important because the controller role arguably has the most impact on the map for both your team and the enemy team. I could do a whole video on why the controller option is the most important, and actually I have, so go watch that video if you get a chance. But if you have a bad controller, it's more likely you're going to lose. And that's simply because if you're not able to push onto a site because you don't have smokes, everybody struggles, regardless of how good you are as a duelist, regardless of how good you can lock down your flank as a sentinel, or regardless of whether you have breach and sky to flash into a site. Not having good smokes will make it so much more difficult. And so oftentimes what people do is, especially if you're a solo queue player, you make the decision of, okay, I think I'm capable as a duelist, I think my aim is the best there is, I will be the designated duelist, and those are your insta-lock jets, your insta-lock Reynas, etc. But then you also have on the other side the people that go, I don't trust anybody with smokes, I will be locking Omen, I'll be locking Brim, and they're playing solo queue, so they're limited to those abilities And I know, because I've been in that position. I know some of you, like I'm talking to you, whoever you are right now, whether you've been that Omen or that Brim on your team in a solo queue scenario where you're just like, man, if I was a duelist, I would be popping off right now against this team. But instead, I'm, making sure I stay alive so I can drop smokes. Making sure that I am dropping smokes correctly. Rotating when I need to. Making sure that I know, like, hey, by the way, I get smoked back in 20 seconds. There's so much that goes into being a controller that you have to focus on that, but also you don't get really any good ability to help you frag out, to help you get kills on the map. You are more limited as a controller until the release of Clove. We've already said that Clove is a controller. So if you didn't know, like let's say you're watching this video, you don't know what Clove's abilities are. You're thinking, oh, they probably have smokes, maybe they have a flash, or they have like something like a stim beacon, like Brim, and then, that's it. And they have some cool old, that's it, Viper Pit, whatever, right? But no. The first ability, the pick me up, which is like you kill somebody, they drop an orb, you pick it up and you have better movement speed and you get back extra health, 100 health for a short amount of time, which is basically a Reyna heal, but it's instant. It doesn't go over 150. It's an instant heal. So you quickly recover. You're able to get into another gunfight right away. Similar to Reyna. Already, that first ability lets you know, okay, you want to be engaging people as Clove. Next ability. Of course, what's a controller without smokes? So then you get Ruse, which is like a floating Brim tablet where you put down your smokes. I don't even know if it has a limit or if it's more like Astra, which if it's more like Astra, I find that ironic because a lot of people struggle with Astra. They find it the most complicated controller, but they somehow managed to make her ability also the easiest because now Clove has a similar ability and it's a lot better, like user friendly, etc. I mean, what I'm trying to say is rip Astra. Like, I still firmly believe in Astra, but Astra is one of those controllers that you don't want to get into initially, whereas Clove, they definitely are. And the most user-friendly part of this ability is the fact that you have all these abilities that are telling you to go and get engagement, but I know what you're thinking. At the back of your mind, you're thinking, but why would I want to push into sight like a duelist if I'm a controller and my team needs my smokes? If I die first, how am I going to smoke for the team? I'm going to get yelled at by my duelist. It's like, why did you go and die on site when we needed you to put down smokes after we planted? Clove can use their smokes after they die, which completely negates all of that. Throw all of that out of the window. Now you're a controller that's like, oh, what's that? I can go ahead and just die first in the round and still be able to use my abilities, specifically my smokes, which is really the biggest impact I have on this team. Sure, why not? And then you have their ability of metal, which is a decay orb. To be honest, it doesn't do any damage upon impact, but it does do damage over time, which, can also be used as a way to get people off a bomb or to get people off a certain corner, which again is both good as an entry ability, but also as a defending ability. And if you couldn't already guess, go ahead. Guess. What do you think their ultimate is? I don't know, maybe coming back to life? So after you die and you have your ultimate and you're using Clove, you can just revive them. You can just revive using your ult. Of course, this is not as broken as it sounds because you have a set amount of time where you have to either get a kill or get an assist, or else you instantly die again. So, there is a couple of steps to pull off the revive, but it's a revive nonetheless. You revive yourself back to, to make a distraction, whatever it is. Even if you don't get the kill, that's still another body on the map. I mean, this is it's a weird mixture of Phoenix's ult of you have a second life, but it happens after you die. So Clove's whole gimmick is immortality. Like, they use immortality, like energy to do all their abilities, which, you know, lore wise, I think is cool. But again, the most important part of all of this is the fact that Clove has some abilities that, saying them out loud, may sound broken. And sure, everybody, you know how Twitter is. Everybody's like, oh, Clove is the most broken agent to come out in like so long, instantly getting nerfed, blah, blah, blah. None of that matters, all right? The point being that Clove is the agent that you want to pick for solo queue, because it still gives you a little bit of that duelist energy, but they also act as a controller with their smokes, and the fact that you can die and still use their smokes afterwards is huge. However, I'm the most excited for the simple fact that Clove will be an entry controller. Yes, they're actually that, quite literally, that's their role, but also, once people get a taste of the controller ability through Clove, they're bound to be like, all right, you know what? Let me cook with Omen Brim, or let me cook with Harbor Viper. Let me cook with Astra. And that's what gets me excited, because we need more controllers. We need more people to play less selfishly as a duelist and to try out different roles. I'm tired. How are we in 2024 and you're still telling me pre-lobby, I can't play smokes? What? We're 4 years. I mean, maybe, you know, you picked this game up yesterday and that's why you don't know how to play smokes. But come on, people. We are how many years into the game and you're still telling me you don't know how to play smokes? Clove will finally get some of these people to play as a controller and get smokes down on the map. That's why I'm excited. That's why you should be picking Clove, in my opinion, if you're a solo queue player. Outside of solo queue, I think Clove is a cool gimmick. Again, all their abilities are really cool. They can definitely have an impact. But if you're already a good controller with some of the main controllers that are out now, you might want to try Clove, but you're probably going to be getting more value from the other controllers, because all of Clove's abilities are fine. They're good, especially in solo queue. But because Clove tries to do a little bit of everybody's role, they ultimately fall a little short. Because when you directly compare them to Sage with the res, for example, Sage can revive anybody but herself, whereas Clove can only revive themselves. But it's a perfect way to get into the controller role, and I think that's what we needed. I think, again, this is perfect for solo queue. And I'm ending the video here. I'm excited. I think this agent is going to bring new life to Valorant. We needed this. Big round of applause to Riot for finally getting it right.